Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Happy to have you here today for our award ceremony for One Hope, One Dream. We all have hopes and dreams, and these people lived it out. Today we're excited to be hosting it again. We had this award before, and it went away for a while. Now it's back. So before we get started, let me begin this with a prayer. We pray in the name of a loving God, a God who lovingly cares for us, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Today, Lord, we honor graduates of the Hoban family who exemplify excellence as knights in their lives and careers. We thank you for them, their parents, and all who have been influential in their lives, so they are the wonderful people serving others. As a Hoban community, we are grateful for all the individuals, oh God, you directed to be an essential part of our Hoban family. Everyone involved with us, and all who join in making Christ known, loved, and served. As we celebrate excellence in community today as part of Holy Cross Week, these graduates display their excellence through the Holy Cross core values in different aspects of their lives, and we are grateful. Be with them as they utilize the skills and talents which have taken them to each new level, demonstrating that they have the heart and mind of Christ in service to others. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Now I invite Dr. Ramos to the podium.
This week,
Calling in life became his sharing faith with others through prayer, service, and fellowship. In 1981, Hank's wife Judy assumed management of the business to allow him time to serve God through serving others. Hank lived out his calling through many ministries. His contributions to the Akron community are many and varied. Hank founded Kingdom Brothers, a nonprofit religious organization that helped men grow in faith through a speaker series and weekend retreats at various churches of all denominations. Hank organized a group of volunteers at his parish called the Skills Bank that helped perform small jobs for people in the community. Through the Skills Bank, volunteers completed more than 2,000 projects in 1 year. But more importantly, it connected people in meaningful ways. Hank worked to help incarcerated men transition back into the community. One of his first places was Hope Cafe, a local soup kitchen where he met and helped countless people. Even in his business, Hank and his employees began each day with prayer, building an atmosphere of community, love, and service. Hank's legacy and impact are still at work through Second Street Ministries, for which he and his wife donated a building to house critical community programs and service work. Many Hoban students have served the community at Second Street Ministries during JAM. Hank's motto was, "Be Christ with skin on," meaning actually, physically, be there for others. Hank lived a life of service. He exemplified the Holy Cross core values, most specifically, option for the poor. He created genuine relationships with people and did all he could to ease their burden. Many of you have had the opportunity to participate in service at Second Street Ministries, a wonderful organization not too far from campus. Here to share some remarks about Mr. Richards is the owner of Second Street Ministries and parent of Hoban graduates, Mr. Drain Krebs. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to recognize Judy, Hank's wife, is here, and his youngest son, John, and so grateful that they can be here. We miss Hank. Brother Spooner effectively shared the many things that Hank was involved with. I'm just going to tell two quick stories which capture why he's deserving of this award. I don't know how you guys feel, if you've got an opinion, you know, in this world where in politics, and they say at the fire, I used to be a firefighter, they said at the firehouse, don't talk about politics or religion, because it always ends up in an argument. Well, Hank was a businessman, he was successful, and you can see by the picture of him, he was a good boy from South Akron and hard worker. And there was this black gentleman that would come in, was a sales representative, and started to talk to Hank about his faith. And Hank said, "I'm a Catholic, and that's enough, and you don't need to know anymore." Well, this guy kept pressing, and this guy was concerned about Hank's soul, wanted to talk about Jesus. And so Hank was frustrated, but Rich would make him go home, and he'd look things up, or he'd talk to the priest and say, "What do I say to this guy?" And man, they went at it. And over a period of months, it got to the place where their conversations were vital, but they were sometimes intense and sometimes didn't end so well. And Hank said to me later, he said, "I did not like that guy." But you know what? Hank listened to him. And at a certain point on March 3rd, 1981, Rich and he were together, and Rich asked him if he would want to pray. And at that point, Hank prayed and committed his life to Jesus Christ. Now, I think Rich thought maybe he would leave the Catholic Church at that point. And Hank was like, "Why would I leave the Catholic Church? This is where I serve Jesus Christ." And so he became active in his faith. And so one of the ways that Hank was a bridge builder, and that's really what Martin Luther King was, building bridges for the beloved community, was between Catholics and Protestants. My whole life, my experience with Hank, my kids would not have gone to Hoban had it not been for Hank. There were things that Hank did to build bridges between people. There's real enemies we have in our world, and we need to not look at each other as religious people and see each other as the enemy. So Hank lived that. The second story I want to tell is Hank, there was a gentleman that was a part of our ministry. So we work in the prisons, and one of the toughest guys that we ever worked with was Michael Starks. And Michael had been arrested 116 times. He was a heroin addict for 35 years. He did 13 stints in the penitentiary. Never really knew his dad. His mom was shot and killed at a bar. She was a barmaid up on Howard Street when he was 16. So from the age of 16 on, he never had parents, and for the next 35 years, he was in and out of prison. Really, Hank ended up starting this ministry, Promise Keepers, or not Promise Keepers, but Kingdom Builders, which was affiliated with Promise Keepers, which wanted men to step up to be good men, that masculinity did not always have to be channeled towards or measured just by success in athletics or sexual conquests or making a lot of money. Being a good man is about being a man for others. It's showing up and making a difference. And Hank lived that. And Michael had made a commitment to Christ, and he turned his life around. But even as he had turned his life around, there was a hole, there was an emptiness in Mike as he was going through things. And Hank started talking to me, and I didn't really notice as much, but Hank noticed it. Because you see, Hank lost his father when Hank was in the military service. While he was serving with the 101st Airborne, his dad died. And so when he came back, he moved back home, and he helped with the family and taking care of his brother and sisters and his mom. And Hank knew what it was. I guess one other thing they didn't share, very successful businessman, but he graduated from Hoban only by the grace of some of his teachers because Hank was dyslexic. And so again, while Hank was successful and good with his hands, part of the reason he channeled that way is because he couldn't have success as much with the books. So what he saw in Michael, he said, Michael, he said, I want to ask you to come to my house. And I was there and present for this. There was a dozen of us in the basement at Hank's house. And Hank said, Mike, I want you to receive the Father's blessing because I feel like whatever it is that you're aching for inside, you've never heard and never seen another man look you in the eyes and tell you have an infinite worth and that whatever you do, I want to be like a father to you, that I accept you as you are and whatever you go through, I am there for you. And to see this white man successful in business and to see my black brother, Michael Starks, and to see them embrace after Hank laid his hand on Mike's shoulder and told him things that he saw about Mike, that he believed in him. You've got integrity. You're no longer an addict. You love people. You're powerful. And then prayed for him. And Mike has walked that out and lived that out since then. And so that's why I'm so grateful to be able to be here today and tell you a little bit about my friend Hank Richard, and so glad his family's here too. Thanks.
At this time, I invite Mrs. Richards to come up, receive the award, and say a few words for us.
Thank you so much, brother, Dr. Ramus, the staff, the alumni, and the student body. First, I'd like to thank the Hoban family, especially Mary Balgrim and Dennis Murphy, for helping to honor my husband. I'm grateful to Pastor Dane Krabs of South Street Ministries for his glowing description of the many facets of a complex, dedicated man. My job today is not only to inform you of what one person can do to make our city one of respect for each other, but to make you more aware of the gifts that you have that are so imperative in making this come about. Hank was not a white-collar executive. He was a man's man. He was a mechanic and a darn good one. He had a gas station and car service on Waterloo Road for over 30 years. He came from a very well-educated family. His mother had a master's degree from Smith College in 1932. But Hank was not a scholar. He had a learning disability, dyslexia, which was not recognized until he went in the Army. He often said that if his mother hadn't been president of the Hoban Mothers Club, he would never have got a signed diploma. He was a man of deep faith, especially after a direct encounter with the Holy Spirit in 1981. His faith became one of service. James 2:14-26 was his mantra. Faith without works is dead. He founded a program at St. Paul's called the Skills Bank, where our parishioners volunteered to help enable the elders of our parish stay in their home by mowing lawns, raking leaves, shoveling snow, rides to doctors, and etc. But his heart was for the underserved of the city. He led a Bible study every Tuesday night for convicted felons in collaboration with Perry Clark and Truly Reaching You Ministry. But his real love was the Hope Cafe, on East South Street, right between Grant Street and Brown, right in the heart of the hood. He volunteered every Thursday night, reaching those whose hope was gone. We cooked 5 gallons of chicken soup every week. When the gang saw Hank's red truck pull in, they knew that good, nutritious food was soon to be had. But along with the soup came the sword. John, would you bring me Hank's Bible over here? The sword. That was Hank's name for his Bible. Yeah. Anyhow, I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is held together with packing tape. And it's been used. Anyhow, and this is his 3rd Bible. The second one from Colossians on disappeared. We don't know where that went. But anyhow, he was a man of faith, and he was a man of the Bible. And I actually bought him a new one for Christmas, but he wouldn't use it because this was his one. Because every person that he talked to at the Hope Cafe, he wrote their name in his Bible. And we kept having to add pages and pages and pages and pages. And he prayed for them every day. Thanks, John. He was so pleased when the Hoban community came to the Hope Cafe and the front porch to volunteer. I have to tell you a story about Mary. Mary isn't her real name, but Mary was one of the regulars at the Hope Cafe. Now, Mary she was not Martha Stewart. Anyhow, Mary had breast cancer, and it would seep, and it had a foul odor about it. And Mary could cuss the wallpaper off the walls. I mean, she was a hard gal. She was also homeless. And one January night, Hank came into work and he said, "Hey, Mary, how you doing?" And she said, "Oh, Hank." She said, "I'm not doing too good." He said, "What's wrong?" She said, "My sleeping bag froze to the ground and somebody stole my tarp." It's about as basic as you can get. So Hank got on the phone to Keith Herrig from Queen of Heaven LaBrea Ministry and told him about Mary's plight. And within 45 minutes, Mary had a brand new sleeping bag and 3 tarps. Anyhow, I'm sure it didn't. At one time, Hank asked if he could bring Mary out to the house and maybe get her a shower and wash her hair and, let her get cleaned up. And then after he thought about it for a little while, he said, "I'm not going to do that because Mary smelling like that is her first line of defense. Maybe she won't get raped that night." Those were the people that he served, and those were the people that he loved. Now I'm charging you to follow his motto, "Be Christ with skin on." You must be Christ for one another. Christ does not see color or sexual orientation. He sees people who need people. You don't need a college education to make a difference in others' lives. You don't have to be the president of Goodyear. When you see that man in Giant Eagle struggling to get his groceries in his car, or your neighbor's trash can still at the curb at 5 o'clock, hold the door for that person in back of you and smile while you're doing it. That can be your legacy. To quote from the prayer of St. Teresa, "Christ has no body now but yours. No hands, no feet on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes through which he looks. Yours are the feet with which he walks to do good. Yours are the hands with which he blesses all the world." So go out there and be Christ with skin on him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Krebs and Mrs. Richards. Very good. Excellent. Good thoughts for the students to take with them today. So our second One Hope, One Dream Award recipient is Tanisha Benson. I knew her as a student. I knew her as a young lady. Was here, graduated in the class of 2007, and I can tell you she embraces the Holy Cross value of divine providence. She knows and has benefited from unexpected circumstances that materialize after seemingly unfortunate setbacks. With each experience, Tanisha finds the opportunity, and in each role God has placed her, she has made it her mission to help create opportunities for others. While at Hoban, Tanisha was a multi-sport student athlete, honors student, and class president all 4 years. A standout student athlete on the girls' basketball team, setting new school records and achieving state and national honors. Tanisha's love of basketball has been a consistent thread in her life. She received a full scholarship to play basketball at the University of Cincinnati and finished her college and athletic career in 2012 at Ohio University, leading the Mid-America Conference in scoring and earning a degree in speech pathology. Tanisha's plans to play professionally were interrupted after she suffered a sports injury, leading her to yet another opportunity to coach at the collegiate level at Alabama A&M and Cincinnati Christian University. Since 2015, Tanisha has served as owner and executive director of Ohio Girls Basketball Report, a scouting service and event company that serves basketball players in Ohio. Tanisha and her team coach and mentor young girls to play at the next level and develop as student athletes. In 2018, Tanisha founded Buzzer Beater, a basketball program for women in prison. She serves Ohio's 2 largest women's correctional institute, providing mentorship for incarcerated women to learn, grow, and heal by playing basketball. And unfortunately, she told me for the moment it has to be set aside because they can't go to the prison. Also, since 2018, Tanisha has served as president of Perpetual Motion Basketball, a nonprofit organization specializing in serving underprivileged young women and teaching them how to advance in life and basketball. 2 years ago, Tanisha assumed a position with Franklinton Preparatory High School on the west side of Columbus. In her role on the leadership team, she works to bridge the gap for her students. She has created school programs to help students develop career skills, prepare for college, complete community service, and obtain internships. And of course, she also coaches the high school girls basketball team. In her daily life, Tanisha asks and prays to be an opportunist for other people. In her career and her volunteerism, she has worked to fill the gaps between those who serve and the opportunities that are possible. In teaching the game of basketball, she is also teaching the game of life, the skills, attitudes, and determinations necessary to play at the next level. It is my sincere privilege, and I'm proud to introduce you to Tanisha Benson. Congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning. Ooh, nope, not gonna work. I'm a coach, if you can't tell. Good morning. Good morning. Listen, I brought this out of my closet. I'm gonna start with that. I brought this out of my closet. As you can tell, you see how old it looks? Y'all have the new ones with the new logo. I'm gonna wear this because I'm gonna tell you what this coat, look, oh my. It's a lot bigger than what it was on me a while ago. But I'm gonna tell you what this coat means and kind of get through a little bit. I promise I won't be long, I promise you. But I want to thank Principal Ramos, Brother Spooner, A.D. Terrell, I don't see him here, that's okay. Amazing people that voted and selected me for this recognition. I am so grateful. My family is here, and I know there's people that are watching. The Hoban community, I am so, I don't know, I'm so grateful because I don't really talk about the things that are in my day-to-day life very often. So if you're not really, really close to me, you wouldn't know exactly all the things that happen in a day-to-day for me. I brought this jacket out because for me, it was actually the first stance that I made of how I wanted to live my life. And I'm going to show why. On the back of it, I had my mom and dad put on there, put God first. I had never seen a letterman have that. As a varsity athlete, as a freshman, I hadn't seen anyone that had that. And that meant so much to me, even when I was younger, to put God first. And every time I think about how my life has been, it hasn't been what I thought it would be or what I planned. It really hasn't went the way that I thought it was going to go. I went into speech pathology, guys. Ask me, when have I used speech pathology? I have not at all. I didn't even want to go back into basketball. I was good. After being a collegiate athlete, trust me, I wanted a break. And then somehow, here God goes again. This is what I want you to do, and I want you to impact people in an area that usually you wouldn't see. I'm going to tell a story about this a while ago. I don't carry notes because I like when God just talks to me. That's just me. But there was the Hoban St. V game. And y'all know, I know this is on Zoom, but we are not fans of St. V. I bleed blue, okay? I do not go to St. V, and if I do, I make sure I have on Hoban gear, okay? It's very clear where I stand. But the Hoban St. V game, you know how big that is, and this was the regional finals, I think either district finals. It was a district finals, and we were playing St. V. It had got really ugly, and a player by the name of Kara Murphy, great friend of mine, she was hit on the opposite baseline, right over there by the three-point line. And we started transitioning down, and then the whistle blew, and she didn't get up at all. It took, I would have to say, maybe 20 minutes or so for her to get up. I don't know exactly what the details were, but she was not moving. And similar to what I say when I say, I really love when I put God first in my life so that he can control what I'm doing in my thoughts. The Hoban team and the St. V team, we came together, and this, I'm telling you, Hoban and St. V, we don't do this very often. We came together for a word of prayer. And the entire gym stood up, and we said the Lord's Prayer together. In that moment, it was validation. Put God first. Every bit of service that I've done has been in a very weird avenue. Prison. I had never been to prison, but prison saved my life. It did. I lost my granny, and a lady had been serving 150 years. That's what they told her. You're going to be in here for 150 years. I'm thinking 2 minutes is tough enough for me. 150 years is a long time. And she explained to me that it's not your plan. It is God's plan. And if you follow that, you'll be all right. So we created buzzer beaters. Similar to the kids that I have at my high school, a lot of them don't have clothing. They don't have shoes. They don't have food. They don't have parents. Not just one. They don't have parents at all. It's been an honor to build relationships with them, to build a story with them. That word hope is so powerful. It is trusting without guarantee. That is extremely powerful, because to trust something, to trust someone without guarantee is that I really have to take myself out of the picture and believe that this is going to work for the benefit of everyone. And that's pretty much how I've looked at life. I'm going to come in just like, I'm going to push just like you did. It's really easy to serve. The first step is to look. And I don't know about you, 2020, COVID year. Man, COVID came through. 2020 was just like, okay, I'm gonna show you now. So it's really easy to serve. Seek serving. Seek people that need help. Seek people that are not as fortunate as you are. And trust and believe me, when I say it will show itself to you, it will. You'll find the perfect opportunity to use your gifts and your talents to help someone that doesn't have them like you do. I didn't just leave here at Hoban and just kind of like, oh, I'm going to live my life. I'm doing what I'm going to do. I learned it here at Hoban. I learned it before Hoban, but I learned it really here at Hoban to put God first. And so I put it on the back of my Letterman to remind myself and my classmates, and I wear it today proud as a Hoban alum that I've continued to put God first. And honestly, to be honest with you, I know you can do it too. 100%. I know that you can put God first. So Hoban, 2021 class, 22 class, 23 class, 24 class, and the future that is coming, we can do more. And we will do more. We've started doing more. So individually, take time to see who needs help. If you're an artist, take time to inspire somebody else. And I guarantee you, you'll be very, very pleased with the work that God does in you. I'm so appreciative of this award. It means so much. It really does. Of just all the work that has happened. Thank you so much, Hoban. I really, really appreciate you. Of course, I'll be back. I'm going to take a tour in the locker room real quick. I got to do that before I leave. But thank you so much. I love you guys. I really appreciate it.
T, you exemplify an expression in the Holy Cross tradition of the competence to see and the courage to act. You see, you act. Our third recipient of the 2021 One Hope, One Dream Award is Mr. Pratik Shah. Pratik Shah, class of 1994, is head of the renowned Supreme Court and appellate practice at the international law firm Aiken Gump in Washington, D.C. In his role, Pratik briefs and argues cases in federal and state appellate courts across the country, including the United States Supreme Court, where he has argued 15 cases and won 12. As a student at Hoban, Pratik was influenced profoundly by teachers like Brother Ed Libbers and Rose Zaha, stating, "They both made a huge impact on my life, opening doors of opportunity and instilling confidence in me to tackle new challenges." He attributes his later interest in attending law school to his experience on Hoban's mock trial team, which he led to its first state championship. Following graduation from Hoban, Pratik attended Princeton University, where he earned a chemical engineering degree, graduating summa cum laude. Throughout college, Pratik invested much of his time in serving others, tutoring underprivileged students in Trenton, and volunteering weekly at a soup kitchen in Philadelphia. These experiences further shaped his commitment to service, which he has carried throughout his life. After graduating from the University of California, Berkeley School of Law, Pratik clerked at the United States Supreme Court for Justice Stephen Breyer, taught constitutional law, and served several years as assistant to the Solicitor General in the United States Department of Justice, where he helped represent the Obama administration and its successful challenge to the Defense of Marriage Act. Now working in the private sector, Pratik continues to serve through his pro bono litigation, work on several social justice issues, including LGBTQ equality, Native American treaty rights, and immigration rights. Most recently, Pratik supported the Defense of Affordable Care Act in the United States Supreme Court to preserve health care coverage for millions of Americans. Among a lengthy list of awards and recognition, Mr. Pratik has been recognized by the National Law Journal as a litigator trailblazer, named to Washington Magazine's list of top Supreme Court lawyers, and received the Attorney General's Distinguished Service Award. Throughout his career, Pratik has been active in high-profile, informative work to help protect the rights of marginalized people of color, exemplifying the Holy Cross core values of integrity, hope, and inclusiveness. Pratik was not able to be with us today. He sent us a video to be shared with you at this time.
I am humbled to be recognized by the Hoban community, particularly with an award honoring the legacy of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and particularly in the challenging times in which we now live. You are all coming of age in an era of divisiveness and strife across race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, political party, class, other categories, and at a level far more intense than when I enrolled at Hoban 3 decades ago. Saying that out loud makes me both feel pretty sad and really old. As Dr. King observed, however, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. So while our nation as a whole, and marginalized communities in particular, have suffered serious wounds, I remain hopeful that your generation can not only heal those wounds, but can make our democracy stronger and more just while doing so. All of us can play a role in that healing. I've been blessed to have had the opportunity over my career as a Supreme Court litigator to play a small part in promoting inclusion through the rule of law, on behalf of the prisoners at Guantanamo Bay, on behalf of individuals on death row, on behalf of same-sex couples seeking to marry the person they love, and on behalf of immigrants overcoming all odds to make this country their home. There is obviously much more work to be done, but even if you do not yet realize it, you are well equipped to be the change you want to see. I know this because I stood in your shoes some 30 years ago. It's now the second time I've inadvertently dated myself. But somehow a skinny little Indian kid, a son of immigrants from modest means, raised as a Hindu, ended up at Hoban. I know I'm no longer skinny, but the rest of those things still apply. Despite all those differences, or perhaps because of them, Hoban embraced me. I think of teachers like Brother Ed, who took an interest not only in my academic potential, but also in my human potential, teaching me that the core values of compassion, service, and inclusion span across faiths, cultures, and backgrounds. That's a lesson that seems especially salient today. So thank you to the Hoban community for embracing me then and embracing me now. I hope to do justice to the ideals underlying this award for years to come.
For Pratik and comment on him is Mr. Kevin Hillary.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks to Brother James and Dr. Ramos for this opportunity. I want to share with you 3 particular memories of Pratik that each have a sort of theme about them. The first is excellence, the second is on the topic of humility, and the third is on the topic of promotion of diversity. So I got to know Pratik through mock trial. I've been doing mock trial now for 30 years here at Hoban High School. And back in 1994, he was the leader of a team that was incredibly talented. So to paint the picture, that's a team that made it through districts, and then through regionals, and then to state. Mock trial tends to be something that attracts kids who are very talented academically. And so by the time you get to the state level, you're talking about the most talented of those kids. So we're down there at states, and you go through rounds. You have to win every single round as you move through. And as we got to the round, we went from the round of 32 to the round of 16 to the round of 8 to the round of 4. As we moved through those, you would exit your trial, you'd come into this atrium, and all of the kids and advisors would be crowded into this atrium, and we'd have to wait about 15 minutes to hear the results. And what happened that day is something that has never happened before for me or since. And that is, each time there was a buzz that I heard about Pratik Shaw. Now, none of those other kids knew his name. They just knew that they'd either been in a trial against him or that they'd gone to watch one of his trials because they heard about this kid. And as we moved through those trials, that buzz continued to grow. And then finally, it culminated in him leading our team to winning its first mock trial state championship. And so I think that one is on the theme of excellence. Pratik is tremendously talented. His career shows those talents, but he used those talents for Hoban mock trial back in the middle 90s. The second story goes with that one, and it's on humility. And so for Pratik is a very humble person. As you saw in the video, he's a soft-spoken person. And in that final round, we were going against a team called St. Xavier. And the trial was finished, the state championship trial. And so in that moment, you have to wait about 15 minutes, again, to find out who wins and who loses. Well, Pratik, being Pratik, knew that we had won. He knew it. And so as we were talking about it and being excited but also nervous waiting to hear the decision, Pratik went to his fellow teammates before the announcement was made, and he said, I just want to say I have something to ask of you all. And that is, when they announce that we won, I want us not to cheer. I want us not to celebrate loudly. I want us to be gracious. And sure enough, a couple of minutes later, they announced Archbishop Hoban High School as the winner of the state championship, and not one Hoban kid yelled out. They were as gracious as they could possibly be. And that was on his leadership. That was his humility extending out to the team. The third of those themes that I want to share with you related to Pratik is promotion of diversity. And this story goes to a little later in his life when he had gone to undergrad at Princeton and he was deciding on law school. And being Pratik, he had lots of choices. He'd been accepted a number of different places. And so I asked him, I was talking with him about those places, and one of those places was Stanford. And he told me that he didn't choose Stanford. And I said, who doesn't choose Stanford? How did you not choose Stanford? And his answer was that he felt that Stanford was not diverse enough. That the school that he was choosing put more of an emphasis on diversity of their students. And I was just blown away by that. It's so funny that in his short speech, he talked about the phrase, be the change you want to see in the world. That was a part of my talk. And I relate that just to that small decision of where he was going to go to law school. He chose the law school based upon the place that valued diversity. And when you would read about his career in the law, and Brother James mentioned some examples, he's continued to carry that passion for diversity forward in the groups that he and his law practice represent. Two of them that they didn't go into a lot of detail on, he argued before the Supreme Court on a civil rights case involving the recent issue of the census question. Remember the census question about citizenship for immigrants, whether they would be counted or not? Pratik was a part of that group arguing that case. He also was a part of the group arguing a case on the issue of the civil rights issue of the Child Welfare Act, the Indian Child Welfare Act, that protects and tries to keep Native American families together. So his efforts to promote diversity have gone on not only while he was a student, but also through his career and through his law practice through the years. So I'm very, very pleased that Pratik Shah is being honored with this award, and I'd like to congratulate you, Pratik, personally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. And thank you to everybody who's been a part of this program today. Thank you to Dr. Ramos for her work to put together the program. As a student, you hear a lot about planning for the future, growing in faith, practicing service, living out our Catholic and Holy Cross core values. Let these three be inspirations for you, examples of Hoban graduates who did what you are doing into our living examples for us all. Thank you very much for being here, Mrs. Richards, T, Mr. Hillary for representing Pratik. God bless you all. Thank you.